Cell. Parts of the cell. Let us look at the different parts of a cell one at a time. Cell membrane. The outermost part of the cell is the cell membrane. The cell membrane is very thin and it keeps the parts of the cell inside the cell. You can think about the cell membrane as a big plastic bag with some tiny holes. That bag holds all of the cell pieces and fluids inside the cell. That bag also keeps nasty things outside the cell. The cell membrane gives the cell its shape. All cells of plants and animals have a cell membrane. Remember, I told you that there are holes in the cell membrane? What are the holes for? The holes allow only certain things to move in and out of the cell. Food comes into the cell through these holes. The waste goes out of the cell through these holes too. Think of your home or school. On the outside of the building are walls. These walls protect the building from danger and from weather. At various locations on the building are small openings that allow food, people, electricity, and water to enter. There are also openings that allow things to leave, including waste. Without these openings, the building would not be of much use. Since we are in the 8th grade, we use words that the scientists do. So we call these holes pores, and we say that the cell membrane is porous. Cell wall. Cells of plants have an additional wall outside the cell membrane. That is called the cell wall. The cell wall makes the cell stronger. It also gives the cell a shape. The cell wall is made up of cellulose, which is a special kind of sugar. Cellulose gives the plant structure and support. Why do plants have cell walls and not animals? Think about how a plant grows. Plants grow tall towards the sunlight. In order to provide plants with the strength necessary to support their weight, the cells within the plant have this hard cell covering. If a tree were soft and mushy like an animal, do you think they could stand strong and tall? A giant redwood tree is more than 100 feet or 10 floors tall. Where do you think it gets its strength to stand erect? The strong cell walls help. For smaller plants, cell walls are slightly elastic. Wind can push them over and then they bounce back. Big redwoods need strength in high winds and sway very little, except at the top. What would happen if the cells in your body had cell walls? If animal cells had cell walls, the animal would be very stiff and unable to move easily. But animals need strength too. So where do you get their strength from? Instead of cell walls, animals have other ways to give their body strength. For example, many animals' bodies are built on a structure of bones. These bones allow the animal to have the strength to stand up and also give it the flexibility to move quickly. Cytoplasm. Inside the cell is a jelly-like substance called cytoplasm. The different parts of the cell that are inside the cell float in the cytoplasm. These tiny organs are called organelles. There are many different kinds of organelles: mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosomes, etc. Cytoplasm helps to hold the organelles inside the cell in their places. The cytoplasm also helps the cell to move proteins and other materials around the cell. Nucleus. The organelle inside the cell that controls all the other organelles inside the cell is the nucleus. It acts like the brain of the cell. It helps control activities of the cell such as eating, movement and reproduction of the cell. The nucleus is a big dark spot somewhere near the middle of all the cytoplasm. You mostly won't find it near the edge of a cell because that might be a dangerous place for the nucleus to be. The nucleus is somewhere near the center of the cell and is usually round. A well-defined nucleus has a porous membrane around it. It contains chromatin and a nucleolus. The nucleolus looks like a nucleus within the nucleus. The chromatin contains the DNA and RNA and other proteins. Small parts of DNA are called genes. When a cell has to divide, the chromatin turns into chromosomes. Humans have 23 chromosome pairs in their cells. A defined nucleus that holds the genetic code is an advanced feature in a cell. You do not need a nucleus to have DNA. If you don't have a defined nucleus, your DNA is probably floating around in the cell in a region called the nucleoid. The nucleoid is an irregular shaped region in the cell. The material that is inside the nucleus is also in the area of the nucleoid. But there is no nuclear membrane.